Hi, I'm Certified Sommelier Beverly Crandon, and welcome to the Wine Down, where we talk about all things wine and make it highly approachable. Today on the Wine Down, I'm back to busting some myths. There are 5 of them. They're going to be good. Roll with me. Let's go. Okay, I need to talk about something that's been living rent-free in my head for quite some time, because I see people online and even in real life too make wine purchasing decisions based on rules that are absolutely not true. Okay, either they read something somewhere or they saw it online, or worse, they had someone tell them these rules and use a really confident tone, but they were absolutely wrong. Okay. What's more is the wine world has a real way of making someone feel unintelligent if they ask questions about wine, or they say the wrong thing about wine, but is absolutely wrong. So people continue buying wines the way they've been buying wines, based on those false assumptions that they've been given, and they don't ask any questions because they're too embarrassed, right? And that's absolutely wrong. So today I'm going to bust some myths. There are 5 of them, right? I promise you by the end of this video, you will leave feeling even more free when you walk into that wine shop or that restaurant and look at that wine list. Let's go. Here we go. Myth number 1, natural wine is healthier for you. Okay, we're going to start here with natural wine because it's everywhere right now, and I want to address the whole topic of natural wines. Natural wine, if you've been to like a trendy wine shop or a restaurant, you've probably come into contact with it. You've seen it, right? Some of them could be a little fizzy or cloudy. A lot of them have really design-forward labels, quite gorgeous actually when you look at the bottle. And people have been choosing natural wines because they feel they're cleaner, healthier, better for their body. And you know what? That I could see that making sense, especially, that framing, because we're in a day where we're so conscious about what we're putting in our bodies. So I can see people saying, oh, it's natural wine. It's going to be healthier for me. It's going to have no additives. It's going to be minimalist. It's going to be more authentic. So I can see that whole vibe running. But I want to be cautious here. There is a lot of marketing that goes into that word or around the word natural. And as a result, natural oftentimes doesn't mean what people think it means. Let me dig into that. Unlike organic or sustainable wines, there is no legal definition for natural wine. None. There is no certification body, no regulatory standard, and not even a universal agreement on what qualifies. So it truly is a philosophy, just a philosophy. And we in the wine world, we understand it to mean that there was minimal intervention in the winery. But the winemaker gets to define what that is. They get to define what minimal intervention is. They get to define what natural is for them. And that's natural wine. It's also important to note that natural wine, just because something is called natural, doesn't mean that it's lower in alcohol or lower in sugars than your conventional wines. Wine's not labeled as natural. It also doesn't mean that your natural wine is free from compounds that could irritate you. As a matter of fact, some natural wines have more byproducts in them, such as biogenic amines, because of the less controlled fermentation process that happens with them. Now, here's where marketing also comes into play. Your conventional wines, and that's just the term I'm using for the ones that don't have natural on the label or not branded as natural, sometimes marketing could infer that these are chemical nightmares, and that is absolutely not true. So here's my take on natural wines. There are some natural wines that are stunning. There are a couple of brands that I buy every single year. Each vintage, I will buy that wine, and those are natural wines. They're amazing. So there's some you want to seek out, some you want to dig into. There's some that taste like kombucha has gone wrong. Well, that's fine if you like that kind of style. But listen, what I will say is this. Don't let that label of natural on the bottle be your only reason why you purchased that wine, but also don't let that be the reason why you're not going to pick up a wine because it doesn't have natural on it. For you to find the wines that are perfect for you, you need to taste them. That's it. Taste it, try it, that's it. Don't let a label determine what you're going to buy. Myth number 2, red wine should be served at room temperature. Oh, this one. If you know me, you know this is a massive pet peeve for me. How many of you have ever been handed a glass of red wine and something was off, right? It tastes boozy, the fruit was baked, like it just wasn't singing. The fruit wasn't singing for you. That's likely because they served you the wine way too warm. So listen, let's talk about this whole red wine room temperature situation, because I know it's happened to some of you. It's happened to me quite a bit, especially at restaurants. And some of you will continue to drink this wine and go through this bad experience that you're paying for, mind you, because you don't want to be rude. And listen, you're not being rude if you send it back at the wrong temperature. You are just someone who wants to drink the wine the way it is intended to be drank. So let's talk about where this myth came from, right? Room temperature. So this whole thing of keep your wines at room temperature, it's very old. Like I'm talking 18th century English castle old, right? And back then, room temperature was anywhere between 15 to 18 degrees. Let me tell you something, my friends. That is not your living room in the summertime. That is not your kitchen when you're cooking or when you're just finished cooking. What that is some abandoned building, brick building, a room in there that has no central heating. That's not us. The ideal temperature for serving red wine is anywhere between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. So that's 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. So it does mean that most red wines, they benefit from a slight chill. Now listen, I'm not saying to throw it in the freezer, but 15 to 20 minutes in the fridge before you open it, mwah. Especially your lighter reds, like your Pinot Noirs, your Gamay, the Beaujolais, the Grenaches of the world. Those things, when you chill them for a little bit, 15, 20 minutes, you're going to sense the difference on the fruit, how the fruit shows up. It's going to be brighter. It's going to be fresher. They definitely do benefit. Whereas if it's too warm, as I mentioned, the alcohol then gets lifted. So it tastes boozy. The fruit is baked and not how the wine was intended to be made. So the next time you are out and someone hands you a glass of red wine and it is too warm, you have my full permission to send it back. And no, you're not being a wine snob. As I said before, you are just someone who wants to drink the wine the way it was intended to be drank. Myth number 3, rosé is sweet. It's basically a dessert wine. I have complicated feelings about this one because this myth has 2 victims. Victim number 1, the people who have been avoiding rosé because they think it's going to be too sweet or it's going to be like candy and they want something serious, so they just don't drink rosé. Victim number 2 are the people who actually like sweet wines. They like wines with some sugar in it, and they've been made to feel embarrassed because they do. Like if liking a sweet wine means you don't know anything about wine. Listen, both groups deserve better. Let me clear this up. The vast majority of rosés in the market are going to be dry, bone dry. Like let's look up Provençal, the Provençal style of rosé, which is probably the most known. That when you break down what a Provençal rosé is like, it's mineral, it's dry, sometimes almost savory, a bit of fruit, but it's not sweet. There's next to no residual sugar in those wines. Okay, people think that because it's pink, it represents sugar. Not the case. It gets that color because of the must. It spent some time with the red grape skins, and the longer it spends with those skins, the deeper or more extracted the color is going to be. But that has nothing to do with sugar. So where did this myth come from? Do you guys remember White Zinfandel? Even though white is in the name, it was blush. It was a pink, a rosé color. That was all the rage in the 80s and 90s, and it flooded the market. And so, and that wine is sweet. It is very sweet. When people see rosé now, they equate it to that. I mean, if you love sweet wines, then that is something you would enjoy. But I will tell you this, white Zinfandel is not representative of the category rosé wine. So, if you're someone who has been avoiding trying rosé because you think it's going to be sweet, I encourage you, don't stay away from rosé. Try it. Go out there, get a Provençal style rosé. Again, probably the most common and most widely known. And try that and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, on the flip side, if you're someone who loves sweet wines, lean into that and lean into it proudly. Liking sweet wines is not a beginner trait. As a matter of fact, some of the world's most complex wines are sweet wines. But that is for another day. That's for another episode. Myth number 4. Sulfites in wine give you headaches. Raise your hands if you've ever blamed the sulfites in wine for your headache the morning after. Yeah, I see you. And I get it, right? The bottle has these 2 words in parentheses that contain sulfites. It makes it seem like it's a warning. So I understand you wake up the morning after and you're like, wow, my head is really singing from last night. And you remember those 2 words, contain sulfites, and you blame this wine. But let me tell you something. The sulfites in the wine almost certainly is not the cause for your headache. Let me explain. The people who are truly sensitive to sulfites, allergic to sulfites, they will experience it more in a respiratory way. So trouble breathing, some wheezing, not a headache. That's how you know someone is truly allergic to sulfites. So then where do the headaches come from? You drink wine the night before, you wake up in the morning, oh my gosh, I've got a headache. It could be dehydration. Alcohol is a diuretic, so it dehydrates you. So drinking water alongside your wine is a good idea. It could be naturally occurring histamines in wines, especially red wine. For some people, it's tannin. And I'm going to say it. Sometimes it could be just not pacing yourself and drinking a little bit too much. Okay, I'm not judging, but if you have been avoiding drinking wine because it contains sulfites label is on the back and you feel it's giving you headaches, or you're paying premium for a sulfite-free wine, whatever that is, I gotta tell you, the science does not back that up, all right? Sulfites are not giving you headaches. I can tell you that right now. My advice to you is to pace yourself, drink water, and yeah, that's the move. Myth number 5. You have to know a lot about wine to enjoy it. This one I care about the most because it's the myth that has kept the most people out of the room entirely. The wine world, I love it. I really, really do. I mean, I'm a part of it. I'm a somm. But the wine world has a way of making people feel intimidated, right? Making you feel like you're less than because you don't know, like all the French words, the vintage charts, the tasting notes that people just drizzle and put down on a piece of paper. I get a nose of pencil shavings, forest floor, and a touch of sad leather. Like, who is that for? Honestly. Wine knowledge is great, trust me, right? Learning about the producers, the regions, the grapes. That's why I do this. That's why I do this series. But you got to know that knowing and knowledge isn't a prerequisite for enjoying. All right, follow me. You don't need to be a cinematographer to cry at a film, or you don't even need to be versed in music theory to say, oh my gosh, this song, it's hitting me right here. The same way, you don't need to know what malolactic fermentation is or carbonic maceration is in order to enjoy a glass of wine. How you enjoy a glass of wine is by finding something that works for you, trying wines, being curious. Don't be embarrassed to say, oh, I don't know that grape, or I'm not familiar with that region. Ask, self-research. That's it. That's how you determine what you're going to like. And you know what's most important to determining what you're going to like is you and your palate. Don't let someone's opinion overshadow what your palate is telling you. Not even my opinion. And that's why I do the series, the wind down. Not to make you feel like you need to pass a test, but to have you walk away feeling that wine belongs to you, because it does. Okay, let's recap. Natural wine on a label is a vibe, not a certification. Taste the wine to see if you like it. Don't let that be what encourages you to buy a wine or not to buy a wine. Red wine should be chilled before served, 15 to 20 degrees. Put it in the fridge, 15-20 minutes. You'll thank me later. Rosé wine is not sweet. The majority of it is dry. Don't sleep on it. Sulfites probably didn't give you that headache. Drink more water. And myth number 5, and the most important one, you don't have to know everything about wine to enjoy wine. Just start where you are. Thank you for joining me today on the wind down. There you have it. We busted some myths. It was really fun. Listen, I am curious. Is there a myth that you really needed to hear today? You're like, haha, I've been doing this all wrong. Or is there a myth that you want me to bust? Like, this is the second myth busting one we've done. Happy to do a third. Listen, if you're new here, you're new to the wind down, I'm Beverly Crandon, certified sommelier, your host. Welcome. Please subscribe, hit like, all that kinds of good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. For now, keep tasting, keep exploring, know what you like, know why you like it, and don't let anybody ever make you feel small because of it. Cheers.